Hi class. Alright, we're in language again today. We're still working on diagramming complements. So there's still a lot of diagramming going on. We're still on page 287. I'm going to help you with a few of them, kind of go over some of the different parts of it. But there's one thing I need you to remember. You have to remember your direct objects on page 271. Your indirect objects on page 275, predicate nominative on page 281, and predicate adjective on page 282. So you need to have your language book out. Hey, I do want to review the diagramming, and it was on page 284 if you want to review the diagramming of the four types of complements that you can have. Also it says think back. Remember, the line in front of a direct object is vertical. The line in front of a predicate nominative or a predicate adjective is slanted back towards the subject. Remember, it goes back to what the subject basically did. Or not did, but who they did it to, what they were doing to. The predicate nouns and predicate adjectives are diagrammed exactly the same way. An indirect object is always diagrammed beneath the verb. It is diagrammed almost like a prepositional phrase, except there is no preposition. If you remember, action verbs are with your direct and indirect objects, and it's linking verbs for your predicate nominative and predicate adjective. So you got to remember your linking verbs, you got to remember your action verbs. Action verbs shouldn't be hard. If you can do it, it's an action verb. You can't do is. Remember? Okay. So we're on page 287. We're on think B today. So it says underline the subjects once and verbs twice. Put parentheses around prepositional phrases. Diagram the sentence on your paper. I am going to diagram 2 of them with you today. But we are going to go over 2 of the sentences because they have prepositional phrases. And I know, class, that you had a hard time picking out a prepositional phrase. Some of you got it just like that. But some of you still kind of struggle. And that's okay. So we're all still learning. We're in the learning process, okay? So, let's look at number 2. It says, Peter, James, and John became fishers of men. There is a prepositional phrase in that sentence. Number 2, think B. Peter, James, and John became fishers of men. There is a prepositional phrase in that sentence. If you think about it. Well, let's think first, what is the verb in here? What's the verb in number 2? Peter, James, and John became fishers of men. Became is the verb. They became fishers of men for Jesus. So became should be underlined twice. What's the subject? Peter, James, John. Those 3 men are the subject of that sentence. So then you have and, fishers, and of men left over. What is the prepositional phrase? Of men. That should be in parentheses. Of men. Of is your preposition. Men is the object. So that's the whole prepositional phrase. Okay? Let's look at number 4. Number 4 has a prepositional phrase. Okay? The study of Spanish is quite interesting. Well, you studied a little bit of Spanish with Miss Alfred at the beginning of the year. So, the study of Spanish is quite interesting. Well, think about that. Where do you think that prepositional phrase is? It starts off with the same preposition that we just did in sentence number 2. It's going to start with of. Of is the preposition. But what's the object? Think about it. of Spanish is the prepositional phrase. Of Spanish. Okay? Well, if of Spanish is the prepositional phrase, what's your verb and subject? I see a linking verb. Is. Is the subject. Is the verb. And what is the subject? Study. I can guarantee half of you, when you first looked at it, thought Spanish was the subject, but it's not. The subject is the study. Alright, so let's look at the diagramming of some of the two of those sentences. I'm going to diagram sentence 1 and sentence 3, and you will diagram the rest. I will say something about number 2 for when we get there, but we're going to just do, first let's look at number 1. The midday sun feels warm. Okay, what's your subject? What's the sentence talking about? It's talking about the big sun in the sky. Like today, it was pretty warm outside, even though it was kind of a little breezy. The sun was warm. So sun is the subject. And can you feel something? You can rub your arm. Can you feel it? So feel is the verb. It feels warm. Warm is describing what it felt like outside. So the midday sun feels warm. So if we're going to diagram that, sun is my subject. We said feels was the verb. Well, didn't I say that the warm described what it felt like? It was warm. So that's a predicate adjective. That's going to have that back slanted line, and it will say warm. It's describing what that sun feels like. And then you have and it's midday. That's how yours should look. Okay? And I just want you to take a glance at number 2. That sentence we had about Peter, James, and John, they had 3 subjects. So you're still going to do this was number 1. For number 2, you're still going to do that lay down rocket ship. But you're just going to have 3 lines. And then remember you do the X and the and. You don't have to write and twice. You just do X, Peter, James, and John. Don't forget that little trick for number 2. Okay, let's look at number 3, I said. Okay? 3 says, my father is Irish and my mother is English. Well, let's look. Can we make 2 sentences there? My father is Irish. My mother is English. You can make 2 separate sentences. This is a compound sentence. So you're going to have 2 subjects and 2 verbs in each section. So my father is Irish. And just that part of this compound sentence, out of my father is Irish, what's the subject and what's the verb? Is the subject, father is the verb. I said that totally backwards, guys. Whoa. All right. Yeah. Is the verb, father is the subject. And then if you look at the second part, and my mother is English. Mother is the subject, is the verb. I wonder if you remember how to diagram a compound sentence. Well, let's first do the first part of my father is Irish. Okay? Father is this is a predicate nominative. It has the backwards flash and it's describing, it tells you what the father, or is it, hold on, that's not it. No, it's a predicate adjective. It describes, it's a predicate adjective. It's describing what his father is. His father is Irish. Alright? Then we have to do. Now, one of you remembers what we had to do when we were making a compound sentence. Anybody remembers that step ladder we had to do? Okay? Remember the step ladder? It was connected by and. Mother is English. Remember when you diagram a compound sentence, you have that step ladder that you have to do. We called it a step ladder because you went down, stepped over, went down again. So you have your and. If remember sometimes a compound sentence it didn't have and, it could have but. That would also went there. Mother's the subject, is your verb, it's a linking verb, so you know you're going to have the backward slash. It's either going to be a predicate nominative or a predicate adjective. And then you have your mind come off of the mother, that's your pronoun. My father is Irish and my mother is English. Alright, if you have any questions on today's work, please contact me, guys. I'm here, I'm available for you. Miss you guys. Alright, I'll see you later. Bye.